What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel here. So we have a 2018 GSXR1000. We are going to do the front wheel and fork removal, both sides. Essentially it's the same thing as other generations beforehand. Sometimes you may have some different size bolts and things like that, but generically speaking it is identical to most other bikes, so it's not too complicated. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what you need, the tools, at least for this bike. Like I said, it will be similar on other ones, the generations before, and we'll get into it. So we're going to lift this bike up on the lift. We're obviously using a bike lift, and yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so these are the tools you're going to need. You're going to need a 12 mil. It doesn't have to be a big ratchet. It could just be a small one, whatever. It could be even a wrench, technically. Whatever you have, you can use wrenches to get some of this stuff off, but I do like my power tools. It's a lot faster, and it'll get the job done much easier. You don't have to do as many things, blah, blah, blah. So, here's what you're going to need. A 30 mil socket. You're gonna need a wrench. I like wrenches, so 12 mil. I always bring a 10 mil just in case for pinch bolts or something if they're a pain in the ass. 12 millimeter socket for the calipers. I usually bring a small ratchet as well with a 12 and a 10. And then you're gonna need a 6 millimeter Allen and I believe a 4 or 5. So I would get all of those just in case because the fender also has smaller Allens on them. Like I said, 30 mil socket. One of these, you can buy them on Amazon. This fits into the actual axle there, and then you can use a 22 mil, so you're going to need a 22 as well to fit on. It's 17 or 22, but I like to use the bigger one, so 22 mil as well. And then I have another 10 mil. I use this for the pinch bolts and stuff like that. It's just super quick. Also the bolts on the fender. So since we are dropping the forks, this front tire needs to be off the ground. So a lot of people are gonna say, how do you get the front tire off the ground? Let me show you how this bike is up right now. It's literally on a bike lift. So what I'm gonna do is use a flat jack that goes under the exhaust and lifts up that front tire, and then I'm gonna strap down the rear. That way it doesn't fall off the lift. If you don't have a lift, you could use a rear stand and a front stand, but the stand that you have to use in the front has to be a head pin, and the head pin actually goes up into the bottom triple tree. So you can't use the paddock stand that sits on the forks if you're trying to get the forks out. If you're just trying to get the wheel off, you can definitely use a paddock stand, which just sits underneath the forks right there, and it lifts up. So it depends on what you're doing. Again, if you're just trying to get the wheel off, you can use the paddock stand. If you're trying to get the forks off as well, you need the head pin that sits up into the bottom of the triple. So that's pretty much all you need. We're gonna go ahead and get into getting this wheel off, and I'm gonna show you step by step how to do this, and then we're gonna get these forks off too. So let's get into it. Okay, make sure to strap down. Just enough to get that front tire off right there. Okay, so next thing you want to do is take a 12 millimeter socket and get these bolts off here. Oh, yeah, don't do that. That one was a little tight there. You're just going to go ahead and loosen that, and then take these bolts all the way out. So this is going to make the caliper come off the rotor, and that's pretty much all. We're going to do both sides, so left and right, it's going to be the same thing, and I'm going to show you. Give me just 1 second here. This one's not working with me. So go ahead and take those bolts back out, or all the way out. I move this up just a little bit, and then you're going to kind of angle it. Try not to break the wheel, but it should break loose. I then take the bolts that I just had and I put them back into the fork so I don't lose them. Just a little bit, nothing crazy. and then do the other side. And what I like to do is zip tie these up somewhere. So whether it be the top of the radiator or something, I take the line, which we'll get to in a minute because it has to come out of the fender. But I take the line and go all the way up and then zip tie it up here. So that way you have no hanging brakes. Okay, same thing for the left side or right if you're sitting on the bike. And you could go all the way left to stop that from spinning, left to right. So there are tabs on the bottom triple that'll stop the wheel. So go ahead and just do the same thing. Slide this out, same thing. Be careful with the wheel. And then this can come out of there. And go ahead and put these back where they belong, just so you don't lose them. Okay, so I forgot you are gonna need an 8mm socket as well. So you don't need to remove this, but this pops out. So you can literally take this out here, and then you're gonna need to take this 8mm out. And that should just be for the sensor there. And then we'll get back to getting the wheel off. Pop off that 8mm there, and that will allow the sensor to come out, and you can put that back over to the side. Again, what I do is I always take the bolts where things come out and I put them back. So that goes back in there. And then we're gonna do the axle and the pinch bolts. So let's get into that. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is loosen these 10 mils on this side. These are your pinch bolts. And then also on this side as well. So there are pinch bolts on both sides of the wheel. So each fork has two 10 mil pinch bolts. So go ahead and just loosen those up. And this side. Oh. One. That's why you bring some ratchets as well, because that is not gonna go down. So 10mm. Whoever put this on, put that on way too tight. Let me go get a different ratchet. So please be careful with these pinch bolts. Like I said, I've stripped them before because they are really tight. Somebody actually put these on way too tight. I put the wheel whichever way I'm going. So if it's on the right side, I push the wheel all the way left, and then use a ratchet and kind of just get it off slow, and then you can go back to power tools. Try not to hit the rotor too much or like apply too much pressure, but some of those are on way too tight. And I do have the torque specs for you guys, so I will post those at the end of the video for you if you need them to put everything back together. So pinch bolts are out, and now we're gonna get to the axle nut. Okay, the next thing is the axle nut. I use an impact. You could use a regular ratchet if you want, but power tools save me a lot, so I go ahead and just 30 mil. I used to use power tools until they died. So we're going back to the ratchet. So again, all the way left. Okay. This just comes all the way off. Okay, so on this side, you don't necessarily need this tool, but I use it just to kind of loosen things up. Basically with the Gixxers, you could just pull the axle straight out. So hit it from the other side, literally just smack it, grab it here, and then pull on the axle, and that's going to release the wheel. So now it's stuck on the fender here. Just lift that up just a little bit. The wheel's off. So that's how you remove the wheel. Now what I do is I put the axle straight back in, and then I take the nut and put it on as well. That way nothing gets lost, and then I just put this on the floor to the side. Definitely don't cross-thread it. So that's what I do. Again, I use this tool for other bikes mostly. Gixxers tend to not need it, but I do it just to kind of loosen things up. So I'll put it in, use the 22, loosen it up, call it a day. Okay, so once you have the wheel off, one thing I like to do, if you don't zip tie them, just get them up back into the fork so you could take the caliper. Well, let's put it this way. Let's put it the correct way. And then I like to just hand tight into the forks themselves. That way the zip tie, you don't even need to zip tie it down. They'll come down with the forks. But since they are connected to the master, if you're trying to take the forks off, you need to make sure these are hanging and zip tied up here. So this is just if you remove the wheel, you can keep the calipers bolted up to the fork. If you are removing the forks, again, make sure you hang them up. So let's go ahead and hang these calipers up. Now that the wheel's out, we can have some play to get them up there. Okay, so the way I did this, I couldn't really find a spot to zip tie. I unfortunately don't have long ones. There is a line up there that you could zip tie it to, which is like the sensor area. But I just zip tied one line up here and then zip tied this one to that one. So it's really not hanging, there's not any pressure on it. You can just lift it up by that. So now we need to get the fender off. So to get the fender off, you need to take these 10 mils and then on the inside of the fender, let me see if I can get in there. There is an Allen right here. And this is on each side. So there's a 10 Allen, 10 Allen. Go ahead and remove those. That comes out. Other side. Okay. If these come out, just go ahead and put it back into the fairing. They literally just sit there. So it's either that or you can take them off and put this through so you know where they're at. Put that down, same thing. Just put it through and then sit it down. So now we just got to get these Allens and we're good to go. Get that out. Okay. And then you're going to grab both sides of the fender. So left and right, push them in, not hard. A little bit goes a long way. Push them in and pull out. And that's how you get the fender out. So nothing really hard. Literally, let me show you. So you literally just push in like this and then pull out. Push in, pull out. That's how you get the fender off. On the bottom triple, there's two 12s. So 1 and 2. You don't need to bring them all the way out, but they need to be out and very loose because these are clamped by the bottom triple and the top triple. They're not gonna slide out when you loosen them, so don't worry about that. But you need to do both the left and the right side. If you need to as well, grab a pick or something and get these tabs off of the fairing there because it's there's a lot more room. And all you do is press the center just a little bit and then you can grab it, pull it out. Comes as one. You gotta push them back out and then yeah, that's pretty much it. These are just plastic rivets. So you can literally go around, get all of these out, and that'll give you a little bit more space to go ahead and play with those 12 mils because it is a tight squeeze in there. It's never bad to have a little bit more room either. So, boom. And then this should just pop out of place and come down. So the front needs to come out and that comes out like that. Oh, there's one more. So take that piece off. Now you can access those 12 mils a lot more, as you can see. So then I take the 12 mil, put it up there, and just loosen them to the point where it's literally finger tight. You could pull it out. So before you bring the bottom one all the way, I would do the top, get that loose too. Because if you have the bottom all the way out, you're not going to be able to put your wrench on to the top one because the bottom one's pushed out. So go ahead and get the top loose, get the bottom loose. Do this on both sides, and then I'll show you the top. Okay, so for the final bolts, what I like to do is loosen the clip-on bolt first. That way you don't have to deal with it. So this is going to make the clip-on be able to move up and down, like you're going to be able to slide the clip-on up and down the fork once you loosen that. So again, just hand tight, like loosen it, back it up as much as you can. And then the final bolt is going to be Let's see if we can get this to focus. That as well. So that bolt is going to be the last one remaining. So as you loosen that, I like to stand on whatever side of the bike I'm doing, use my right hand and a ratchet. So I crack that first. So I crack it just to make sure that the bolt is able to be ratcheted with one hand. And then I hold on to it with my left hand and ratchet with the right. As you start loosening that, you'll be able to drop this with one hand. So I hold on to the fork tube like so, and then as it starts dropping, it'll literally just slide down. You should have enough slack to just pull it out. So it's gonna come all the way down, and then you're just gonna grab it with one arm and pull it out. So let me show you. And by the way, on the other side, before I get into that, let me show you the other side. So the other side is gonna be the clip-on, and then also the triple tree bolt there. So you can probably use an extension. Sometimes you do have to take these 8mm reservoir bolts out. That way this can move and you can get in there. So if you can't get in there without that, I'm probably going to take that out, actually. Take the 8mm out and then get to that triple tree. So basically the same thing for both sides, but yeah. Just crack that loose. These were on way too tight, but it is what it is. That's why I always crack them. So again, that'll allow the clip-on to move up and down. And then again, all I do is crack this, and then I move back because that's loose now. So just make sure it's loose, and then go ahead and back up and get your left hand onto the fork. So grab with the left arm while you loosen this. Grab the whole tube, and then you can move it back and forth. Once it's loose enough to where that's fine, you can grab the clip-on, keep kind of moving it around. I like to twist it, and then it'll literally just come out. So that's how you do that, and same thing with the other side. Just make sure you don't drop them. You don't want to damage these things, so go ahead and put them in a safe spot, and other side. And just get this one loose. Okay, and then this one, literally again, you just crack it to where that one's pretty tight, but right there, you'll start to know when it's basically loose to where you can grab it. And then you're just gonna do the same thing as the other side. Left hand with the bolt, right hand on the fork. So left hand to loosen that, right hand to grab it, twist it, fork just comes straight out. Then you have it in your arm and your hand. All right, guys, that's how you get the wheel and the forks off of a 2017 plus GSXR 1000. It's very, it's not too bad. I would say it's intermediate. It's not too bad. So if you're looking to get your fork seals done and you want to save some cash, this is the way to do it. You could take your forks off yourself, take your wheel off yourself. I will go ahead and put up the torque specs for you guys at the end of this video here so you can see what they are when you're putting them back together. Again, it's just everything that we just did, but in reverse. So you would essentially put the forks in, measure them up top in millimeter, make sure that they are equal, and then tighten the top triple bolt, the bottom triple bolts, and make sure the clip-ons are also tightened. Then once those are on, you can go ahead and put the wheel on, the fender on, the calipers, and so on and so forth. So anyway, guys, if you guys have any questions or concerns, feel free to comment below. I will definitely help you out and try to answer as many as I can. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see some more guides and videos. I'm still going to be doing rebuilds, so nothing too crazy, but yeah. Anyway, thanks guys, and I will see you next time.